Last lesson we collected data from this class on the eye color of the students in this class, and this is what we got. 12 students had brown, 2 students had blue, 5 had green, and 5 had hazel colored eyes. We also drew a column graph of that data. Okay, then what we did, we looked at a divided bar graph. So we looked at a divided bar graph. Now we're going to just spend a minute going over this, but the new graph we're really going to look at today is the sector graph and how to draw it. Now we're going to quickly look at what we did in divided bar graph, because the method we use is very similar to what we use for the sector graph. Now when you come to draw a divided bar graph, just looking at what we did last lesson, before, if I have an empty divided bar graph, what I did was, on my empty one, I measured the length of the graph, of the divided bar graph, and you can see that it's 10 centimeters long. Now, we then used the data that we had. Now, what we had from last lesson is that there were 12 people out of 24 that had brown eyes. So 12 out of 24, this is what we did last lesson. 12 out of 24 times 10 is 5. So the section on my divided bar graph for brown eyes should have been half. You know that 12 out of 24 is a half. We know the whole graph is 10 centimeters long. Okay, so last lesson when we were looking at this, you all said, yes, Miss, half the class have brown eyes, it should be half the graph. So we know that the whole graph was 10 centimeters, so this brown bit was 5 centimeters. Do you all remember that? Then with blue eyes, we had 2 girls out of 24. So the fraction of girls that have blue eyes was 2 out of 24. We have to represent it in a 10 centimeter graph, so we times it by 10, and we got 0.83. And you also drew that on your graph. So I'm just going approximately to 0.8. And this is what you should already have from last lesson. And that was blue eyes. And that was 0.8 centimeters on my graph. And then we said that there were 5 girls out of the 24 in this class with green eyes. So the fraction of girls with green eyes was 5 out of 24. I need to represent that in a 10 centimeter graph. So I go the fraction times 10 centimeters, and we got 2.08, which was going to be approximately 2.1 centimeters on our graph. So then we looked at graphing that, and we put about 2.1, and the last section should have also been about 2.1. I think my numbers are a bit off. So 2.1 is a bit bigger, about there. All right, and then the last one should also be 2.1. Okay, so then we wrote that this was green and this was hazel. That was about 2.08. Now hazel, there were also 5 girls out of the 24. And to represent that in a 10 centimeter graph, it's the fraction of girls in the class with hazel eyes times the 10 centimeters, and we got 2.08 again, which I already measured. That's what we did last lesson. Okay, so half the girls have got brown, some girls have got blue, and then there were equal number of girls with hazel. Okay, now we've represented that information in this is called a divided bar graph, because the bar is just this, that's the bar, and then we divide it up. That's why it's called a divided bar graph. Now today we're going to represent the same information in a sector graph or a pie graph. Okay, now that you should already have that from last lesson. So sector graphs are used to display categorical data. What categorical data is, same with divided bar graphs, categorical data. It's if I ask you a question and your answer to me is a word, that's a category. So if I say, what color eyes do you have? And you say brown, your answer to me is a word, so it's a category. But if I say, how old are you? And you tell me 12 or 13, that's a number. That's numerical data or quantitative. It's a quantitative data. So if I ask you a question and your answer is a word, it's categorical data. So now, girls, we're going to use the same data to draw a sector graph. You've all got your protractors. Okay, so the way we work it out, let's look at what we did for brown eyes. We had 12 out of 24 people in this class with brown eyes, and we needed to represent it in a 10 centimeter bar, so we multiplied by 10. This time, how many degrees in a circle in one revolution? 360. So brown eyes, I've got 12 out of the 24 people in this class with brown eyes. So isn't that a half the class? So shouldn't half my graph be for brown eyes? Yes? So 12 out of 24 is a half. So a half of 360 is how many degrees, girls? 180. So girls, how do I represent 180 degrees on my pie graph? Let's look at the protractor. Now, I'm going to zoom in. Should we work these all out first? Let's work them all out first. All right, blue eyes. How many people with blue eyes? 2 out of the 24. So that's the fraction of people with blue eyes. Because I need to represent it in a circle, and a circle is 360 degrees, I multiply that fraction by 360. So anyone got a calculator? 2 times divided by 24 times 360, and give me an answer. 30 degrees. How do you think I'm going to work out the green eyes? How many people have green eyes? 5 out of 24. So that's the fraction of people with green eyes. So 5 out of 24 is the fraction. I need to represent it in a circle of 360 degrees. So I times it by 360 degrees. What do we get? I'd say it's going to be what?
75.
Very good. 75 degrees. So we go 5 over 24 times 360. And Hazel, 5 people out of 24 have hazel eyes. I need to represent it in a circle of 360 degrees. So I go 5 divided by 24 times 360. And again, I get 75. Now, I need to make sure that I haven't made a mistake. What do you think that all these numbers, if I'm going to represent them in a circle, should add up to? Fantastic. So let's check. So we're going to do a quick check. So we're going to do 180 plus 30 plus 75 plus 75. You can do it on your calculator, or we can add it up. Let's just add it up. So what have we got? 0 plus 0 plus 5 plus 5. What's that? Carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is plus 3. 12 plus 7, 19, and 7, 26. But you could use your calculator, girls. And 2 plus 1 is 3. 360 degrees. Correct. Okay? So all my 4 sections add up to 360. That's great, because they have to, because there's 360 degrees in a circle. So now we're going to draw it. Okay, girls, my first section for brown is 180 degrees. What would be the easiest way for me to do this? I've already got part of the line. Just keep going straight across. Excellent. So go straight across. Make sure it's nice and straight. So it doesn't matter whether I label the top section or the bottom. I think I'll label the bottom section brown, because it's not, otherwise you can't see all my numbers on the screen. So this is brown eyes. That indicates I've got half the circle is brown eyes, okay? Brown eyes. Half the circle. I now need to do blue eyes. So I'm going to zoom in. Blue eyes is 30 degrees. So get your protractor. Blue eyes is 30. See where, you know, on the protractor, I've got this bit that comes down here and this bit that goes across here. This intersection here. Not at the very bottom, but here. It's like a right angle. It's like a T. Intersection. That intersection has to sit exactly on the dot. And everything needs to line up on this line. Okay, so my intersection here has to sit exactly on the dot. Now, girls, which way? I want to do a 30-degree angle. And I know this looks a bit weird, but you can't count. If you're going to count from this way, you've got to use the inside here. You don't count backwards from 180. Do you understand? Either I start on the outside of this one. Do you want to work on the, it doesn't matter which way we go. As long as that's sitting exactly on that line, you can either do your 30 degrees over here, or working on the inside one, we can do it over here. So which side do you want to do it on? Look where my pencil is. On this side or over here?
The other side.
This one?
Yeah.
This one? All right. So you have to work on the inside. Do you understand why you don't start from 180 and count down? Because when we measure, we start from 0. So I'm on the inside here. I go 0, 10, 20, 30. So girls, just come up here. It's on this line and put a little line out here, a little dot. Like a straight line, actually, I would do. Just continue that there. Just go straight out. You got that? Now, I'm going to move this away. Is it okay to move away? Now that I've marked that, I get my ruler out from the middle of the dot to that line. And I join. I don't have to go outside the circle. I just go to the edge of the circle. So does that look like 30 degrees? It looks acute. So this is blue eyes. Okay? And that's 30 degrees in there. Okay, ladies? With that, girls? Do you need more time? Now, I have to do 75 degrees. I could either choose to continue from here, but I like this big line across here. I'm going to do one from the other side now. So I'm putting it straight again. Why don't I use the outside now to measure my 75? Girls, look, I'm on the bottom line. Make sure the cross is where the dot is. If I always have to start from 0. You do not start from the inside this time. Do you understand why? The inside starts from 180. You don't use that. You start from the outside. I need 75. So I've got 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. 75 would be this one here. Does that look right? So put a little line out here. Sorry, it is on top of some of my writing. So I'll put it back there for you. So girls, I'd go back to that horizontal line that we've got. Start from the outside. Halfway between 70 and 80 is 75. Put a line out here. And join. So this is 75. You could write that it's either green or hazel. It doesn't matter which one. Green eyes. Now, if I measure this leftover angle, how big should it be?
75.
If I measure the leftover angle, it should be 75. Look, girls, you could be 1 or 2 degrees off. It doesn't really matter if you're off a degree. We allow a degree off. So if I want to check that last one, girls, I've got to put, see how that's like that? I've got to turn my protractor sideways and put the dot where this intersection is and start 0 there. And I can check, and that looks pretty good. This last line here that I can see underneath is on 75. It looks good. So you can check yours as well. So this 75 degrees is hazel. Thing we did was collect data, again categorical data, because I asked you what is the main method of transport that you use to get to school each day, and your answer was either bus, train, walking or car. So that's a category. When you give me a word answer, it's categorical data. So this is what we had, that 11 people came to school by bus, 2 on the train, 3 walked and 8 came on the by car. Girls, I know that you haven't done the column graph yet. You can do that later, all right? But because that one's easy, we're going to practice doing the divided bar graph. So some people already did it, but let's look at our results. Again, divided bar graphs, categorical, are used to display categorical data. Again, our bar graph is 10 centimeters long. Now, we had 24 students in the class. 11 out of 24 came to school by bus. Can someone, 2 came on the train. 2 out of 24 came on the train. We had 3 students that walked, so 3 out of 24 walked, and 8 out of 24 students came by car. So girls, can you work out, if you didn't already last lesson, work out the length of each section now? Just look at 11 out of 24. What fraction is that almost? It's almost half. 12 is half of 24. So if 12 students came by bus, that would be half the students. So just under half the students came by bus. So half of my 10 centimeter bar graph is 5. So my answer here should be a little bit less than 5. So girls, can you work them out? Work them all out. 11 divided by 24 times 10. I think we did last week. We got 4 point something for that one.
4.5.
Excellent. And then train. So if you haven't done this, I want you to work them all out. 2 divided by 24 times 10. What have we got for that one? 0.83. And then you need to work out your walking and your car. And then we're going to draw it on our divided bar graph. And once we're done that, we're going to do the same for the sector graph. Divided by 24 times 10, what do you get? 1.2, 5, and 8 out of 24. 3.333. You've just done the decimals topic. How do you write that? 3.3333 with a dot. 3.3, what's the word for it? Recurring. So it's just a little bit over 3.3, tiny bit. So girls, let's draw our divided bar graph. So make sure that when you line up, it's sitting, that it's 10 centimeters, and it is. I can zoom in a bit more. Okay, so the first one is the bus, 4.5. So 4.5 is there. And you can draw a line and put your bus in. Just under a half. The next one is 0.83. So less than 1 centimeter. It's a bit over 8 millimeters. So I can zoom in now. 0.83. There's 10 millimeters, 0.9, 0.8. Look, it's really hard to get 0.83. Just make sure it's not less than 0.8. So I've got 8. And use a sharper pencil than what I've got. So 0.83 about there. Can you see it?
This is the bus half.
No, it's not half. It's just under a half. It's 4.5. So that's my next one, which is the train, 0.83. Then we've got walking. Now, some people were asking about how they were going to do the walking one, which is 1.25. So looking here, I'm going to zoom in so you can see. I don't know if it's blurry. There we go. So girls, there's 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. It's sort of got to be halfway between. Halfway between 1.2 and 1.3. 1.2 there, 1.3. It is a bit hard to get it. Now maybe before I draw that last line, make sure the last one's 3.3. That's the other thing you could do. The last one needs to be about 3.3. Look, sometimes you can be about a millimeter off. It doesn't matter. Okay? It's just a bit hard if your pencil's not sharp. All right? So that's about 1.25. That's walking. And this was the car, 3.3 centimeters, roughly. Girls, I understand they are a bit tricky to draw. All right? Especially with not a sharp pencil. Look at our divided bar graph. So girls, the only difference between your divided bar graph is that it's all out of 10 centimeters. A sector graph is out of 360. So the calculation is the same. Instead of multiplying by 10 to make it out of 10, we multiply by 360 to represent our data in a 360-degree circle. So again, sector graphs are used to display categorical data. I want you to work out all the sizes of each sector. Now, 11 girls out of 24 caught the bus to school. Again, 2 out of 24 caught the train. 3 out of 24 walked. And 8 out of 24 came by car. So that's the fraction of students that take the bus. To represent it in a circle of 360 degrees, you multiply your fraction by 360. How are you going to remember that? So let's say half the students went by bus. Wouldn't you say it's a half of 360? All right? Or if a quarter of the students came by bus, you'd know to do a quarter of 360. Just because this fraction is not a common fraction like a half or a quarter, it's still done the same way. Is 11 out of 24. So that's the fraction of people that take the bus. So instead of saying half of 360, we just do 11 out of 24. That's my fraction times 360. What do we get? It's got to be a bit under half. So it's got to be less than 180. 165. Fantastic. All right. What are you going to get for the train? Anyone? 2 out of 24. So people are getting 2 out of 24 times 360, 30. Fantastic. 3 out of 24 times 360. I think it's 45. 45, yeah. Girls, can you notice if 2 parts of the fraction is 30, what's 1 out of 24? What would 1 out of 24 be? Just seeing if anyone could see that. What's
100.
one person represents so many degrees in this sector graph? Can you work it out? If 2 people represent 30 degrees, what's 1 person? Half of that. Yeah, every person is 15 degrees on this sector graph. Look, if 1 person, just by looking at what we've got, is 15, 2 people is double that, it's 30 degrees. Look, 3 people, what's the answer? Isn't that 15? If I keep adding 15, I get 45. Can you sort of see the pattern? If I ever wanted to work out what 1 person represents, I've got 24 people on my graph, and they're represented by 360 degrees. So I'm graphing the way that 24 people come to school. So I would do, to work out what 1 person would take up, I would do 360 degrees divided by 24, because I'm putting those 24 people into the 360 degree circle, and I get 15 degrees. So every 1 person is 15 degrees. So this makes sense, because 2 people is 2 times 15, 30 degrees. 3 people, if 1 person is 15 degrees, it's 3 times 15. I ended up with 45 degrees. Now, this one here, 8 divided by 24 times 360 is 120. Okay? Or I could have done 8 times 15. All right, so girls, let's start drawing these. Which one do you want to do first? We'll do the biggest one. The bus. 165 degrees. We ready? So the bus is 165. Be careful. 165 is an obtuse angle. I don't want to see a little 15-degree acute angle. So put your protractor down. Make sure that the intersection is right on the dot. Am I going to use the inside circle or the outside circle if I start from here? I have to start from 0. So I go around on the inside circle. Now I'm going to zoom. Oh, is that big enough for you girls? So I start on the inside circle. I'm not allowed to start counting from 180 down. Ladies? So girls, we start from the inside circle because it starts from 0. You always start counting from 0. We've got 2 options here. From 0, to start counting from 0, or to start counting from 180. You always start from 0. So taking the inside circle, I need to go up to 165, which is here, halfway between 160 and 170. So it would be this one. Look, 160, 170. So I come out here and I put a little line. Try and make that. Can you see where it is? Look at my line. It's just there. Because it would be halfway between 160 and 70. It would be where the 15 is on the other one. So now I take this off. Can you see where I've marked it? 160 and 170 is down there. It's halfway. It would be this one. So now I need to draw that in. So that's my 165 degrees. Girls, it's got to be a bit less than 180. 180 is where I've got that line across there. It's got to be less than that. All right, so that's 165. That's the bus. Okay. Girls, it's always good to use one of the line that I've already got drawn there to do my next measurement from. All right, which one do we want to do next? It doesn't matter which one we do. You want? I don't mind. Let's do. All right, girls, I'm going to have to put my protractor maybe upside down. I'm going to do train with 30. Train with 30. I'm working upside down. Or you can turn your page around. Let's turn the page around. Even better. Turn your page upside down. And, girls, that's better. Turn it upside down and put your protractor exactly on the dot where the intersection is. Make sure this is all nice and straight, and we're going to go 30. If I start from this side, am I using the outside or the inside circle? Outside. Up to 30 would be here. Put a line. Okay, girls, I'm on the bottom of the page. I'm using the solid line that was already there, and I'm doing 30 degrees. So I know that's upside down. That's my train. I don't want to write, wait. Train. 30 degrees. So girls, I did it upside down because it was easier. All right? For that one. I don't know about the next one if I should be upside down because it may come off the page. I don't think I can work upside down. We'll see. I'm going to work. Yes, it's train and it's upside down. So again, putting this here on the intersection, you've got to get it right before you start. Girls, that's going to be a bit hard. I'm coming off my page. Are you? I'm definitely off my page. It's too hard. I'm going to try the other side. Girls, let's go to the other side. The reason is I'm coming off the page. Girls, I'm on this side. Yep, I'm upside down. I need 45. Do I count from the inside or the outside? From the inside. So 45, 1 minute is there. Halfway between 40 and 50 is there. And I join that up. I'll be 1 more minute, girls. So that's that one. And then all you've got to do, stop, is to check that the last one is 120. And you can just check it and it should be 120. And my one is 120. So then we just label them. So turning it back around, I've got walking of 45 degrees and 120 degrees is for the car. Okay? Now it doesn't have to be in the same order as mine. Okay?